We want you to get insane business results. We want you to make a ton of money, and we want you to sell a ton of houses and love your work, but we want you to love your life too.
If you don't have a personal brand, the content just won't land.
And hey, you used that sports analogy correctly, so congratulations, Chelsea.
Oh, yay!
How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market, all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Good morning, marketing girls. Hi, Kayla.
Good morning. How are you all? This is our final episode of our series. I hope you guys have all enjoyed the Wealthy Agent Upgrade series. We have enjoyed recording it and putting everything together for you guys.
It's raising our standards together as a whole, right? So listen back, send it to a friend, send it to your broker, let's raise the level of the rooms we are in, which brings me to the kickoff of today's topic and conversation. I have a quote for you. It's really hard to get different results if your environment does not change. Let's unpack that to start.
That's so good. I shared a few weeks ago on the podcast about when I went to Florida for 2 weeks over Christmas break. And I've been in the middle of this weight loss journey, and I've been eating so much healthier and all the things. And I just noticed how much harder it was to continue to eat healthy and continue to eat the best foods that fueled me when I was on vacation. And I even had a full-size refrigerator to put my own food in, but it was just difficult. Our schedule was different. The people around me were different. Our priorities were different. And I did my best, but it was certainly a lot easier to come home, to place my Instacart order, to meal prep everything for the week, and then just pull out of the refrigerator what I needed. I did okay. But also, if I would have stayed there much longer, I would have totally fallen off the horse, right? So yeah, the environment that you're in matters so much. And I don't know if it's pride or if it's a level of self-sufficiency, but sometimes we are just convinced that we can do this all alone. But when we're really going against the grain of all things real estate marketing and tradition, it's a lot easier to go through it with somebody, right?
Well, I actually looked up the definition of modern because I was thinking of our environment, our community, modern agent. And it's not like I just picked that business name, but the actual definition of modern is a person who advocates or practices a departure from traditional styles or values. So it's literally the neon pink and the sea of gray. You're practicing the departure. I actually made a graphic and I put all those little gray icons and then I made one of them pink and I flipped it around to face the other way. I'm like, that's your personal brand in the real estate industry. And it truly is. But the problem is if we don't get ourselves into the right rooms and access to the right environments, we just flip back into the default setting, which we talked about in one of these episodes too. And I mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it again because this is such a powerful concept. In the book, This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, she has this drawing and it shows the person on top and it's your conscious mind. And your conscious mind, all it is your beliefs. And then everything in your unconscious is what shapes that, what creates those beliefs. And in the unconscious, you have conclusions, assumptions, experiences, and observations. So if you are at a brokerage who just is saying, don't worry about social media or use this AI system to automate it or hire a social media manager, don't waste your time there, pay for the leads, do the open houses, do all these things, do all these traditional outdated ways of doing business as a real estate agent, it's harder for you to get your belief in the place that social media could drastically change my business. How I show up online could drastically impact the type of clients I'm working with for the better. It could transform the way I live my life as an agent and the type of clients that I get or talk to or the referrals I'm getting. It could 10x the referrals I get. Like, we don't have those beliefs when our environment is surrounded by like, that's not going to work. That's not the way. You have to do this. You need lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. Like, I always boil it down to, why would I want more cold leads? Cold leads are not a client. Like, if I said, would you rather have 100 cold leads or 2 guaranteed clients? I would hope you'd pick the 2 guaranteed clients all day long, right?
Mhm.
Because otherwise, we're spending our time, our energy, our money, all the things chasing these leads, trying to convert them, trying to get them to care about us or like say, "Hey, like, yeah, I do wanna see a house with you," or whatever. Like, we're trying so hard to convince. But if
Yeah.
we are focused on getting referrals because of how we show up on social media, it makes our business a lot more natural and authentic and easier and more enjoyable and all the things. You truly can run a better business that way. So when you're in the right room, I'm not saying to leave your brokerage, but if you want to market in the modern way, the departure from traditional styles and values, you have to also put yourself in a room where that's going to feel a lot more doable and you build the belief that like this is so possible for me and I'm going to have such a great amazing business as a result.
You think about for a lot of us listening, even for ourselves too, some of these things have sparked conversations for us on the back end too. Like, how can we do this better? Or what does this look like for us, like going forward or whatever? When you are going down a road you've not gone down before, like marketing your business in a way with this wealthy mindset, you're going to experience obstacles you've never faced before. And I don't know about you, but I think it's a lot better and I feel a lot more confident and secure when I'm facing those obstacles with someone by my side, like whether they're coaching me through it or they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm experiencing that too. Like, what should we do?" Like, instead of literally just being like lost alone, you know what I mean? So I think that we need to go into this whole wealthy mindset with a full expectation that we are going to face issues and problems and disruptions that we've never faced before. Why would we put us through all of that alone, voluntarily, right? So I think, we always talk about like, do this with an agent at your office or like find someone in your market who like feels the same way and like partner up together, work together, have lunch. That alone is like so powerful, right? But the bottom line is everything that we've learned is going to be so much easier to apply if you are in a community and if you are in a room where everyone's going through the same things, right? And you have people to support you. There's a quote by Jim Rohn that says, "If you let your learning lead to knowledge, you become a fool. If you let your learning lead to action, you become wealthy." And I just love that so much because the last several weeks, and of course, the whole life of the podcast, but the last several weeks, we've really learned a lot and like switched our mindset on things and viewed things differently. If we don't want to become fools, we have to put this into action. And if we're going to put this into action, that's how we get wealthy. But we have to know these obstacles are coming. So what are we going to do about it? We have to like prepare ourselves for those moments.
And I think in addition to the community aspect of this conversation, it's also about who is the guide in it all, right? So we think about our brokerage and it's what our broker recommends and says, and we value and respect their opinion. But then when you want to do something that is the departure, it's like, well, who's guiding us and who are we choosing to follow? And when you choose to follow several people, you get a lot of like muddied water, like things feel really blurry. I feel like there's too much in my brain. I don't really know which thing to follow because you could go on Instagram and the next couple of minutes, you'll have 5 different strategies to follow, right? And if you try to follow all 5, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense. So it's really about finding a guide that you trust and believe in and you like their style and it feels like this environment you want to be a part of. The truth is, people go further when someone is guiding them than when they rely on what they think their limits are. So I have a little quick story. There's a scene from the movie Facing the Giants, which I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, but I didn't really explain the story. And I think about this all the time when it comes to thinking about your growth and putting yourself in the right room. I personally put myself in the right rooms where I know that I'm going to be pushed way beyond where I currently am because what got you here won't get you there. Let me ask you this question. Write down on a sticky note what your goal for 2025 revenue was, or how many millions of real estate did you want to sell? How much money did you want to make? How many homes did you want to sell? However, your brain thinks about it, write that number down. And then take out another sticky note and write down what your actual end of the year result was. And if those numbers aren't the same or the second sticky note isn't higher, then there was a gap in knowledge somewhere. You weren't ready or equipped to grow as much as you had hoped for, right?
Mhm.
So in this story from Facing the Giants, I'm going to read this little excerpt about what the scene is. The coach blindfolds one of the players and has him do what's called a death crawl across the football field while another player is on his back. The player thinks he can maybe make it to the 30-yard line, but the coach keeps walking alongside him, saying, more like screaming, if you've seen it, "Don't stop. Keep going. You can do it. Don't stop. Keep going. You can do it." And because he's blindfolded, the player has no idea where he is. So he keeps crawling and crawling and crawling. And he's like struggling, right? Like, you're not just gonna get to the other side like effortlessly. Like, we want
Right.
things to come like easy to us. The good doesn't come from the easy. So eventually the coach says, "Okay, take the blindfold off." And the player realizes he crawled the entire field. He thought he was going to the 30-yard line and he crawled the entire field. So way, way, way farther than he thought he ever could. And the reason the scene is so powerful is because he didn't stop early, right? It's not because he just suddenly became stronger. It's not because he had this like magic situation happen where someone granted him like, "You can do it." Like, he pushed through it because he had a coach. And his team was watching him, but his coach was constantly telling him what to do, like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And most people, when it comes to like trying to use social media to grow their business, whether you're looking for leads or you're looking for more referrals or you're looking for more exposure, we stop early. We think like, okay, well, that didn't work and now I'm done. Or I posted for a few weeks and now I'm done. I don't have time. I'll just have to do open houses, or I'll just pay for Zillow, or I'll just pay for XYZ, whatever things we think that we need to pay for. I'll pay for a different coach. But you try stories for a little while and then you're like, "But I didn't get any DMs today." And so you stop. And we stop way, 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 way too soon when we really need to be getting across the entire field. And again, it's not easy. It's not like getting across the field is easy. It's not like using social media to grow a business that has clients you're obsessed with and makes you all the money you could ever want and then some is easy, or every agent would be doing it. When the truth
Right.
is, what is a statistic? It's like 20% of agents do 90% of the business. If you wanna
Right.
be in the 20%, it's not gonna be easy to cross that field, and I will tell you, getting in the right community, focusing on things that build relationships rather than chasing all the leads, it's gonna get you in the 20%. So if that sounds good to you and you're like, "Yeah, that is what I want," like, then you're going to have to put yourself in an environment that's going to be designed to help you get there. Otherwise, you're gonna give up probably on the 15-yard line,
Right.
right? We're talking about
Yeah.
that movie scene.
And hey, you used that sports analogy correctly, so congratulations, Chelsea.
Oh, yay. You know what's crazy actually though? If you think about this, that player, he was capable of doing that by himself because he did it by himself. No one helped him. The coach talked him through it, but that's the crazy part. You don't even necessarily know what you're capable of when you're trying to do it all by yourself. You don't
Yeah.
have other people cheering you on. You don't have a coach guiding you. You don't have someone in your ear telling you what the next move is. There's always something you can do, right? But a lot of times we give up after one try or one thing or one idea, and then we cut off oxygen to the
Yeah.
desired result we're trying to get after. But like, you have to know right now, if whatever your income goal was last year, whatever it is this year, it is entirely possible. Probably 3x of what that goal is possible, or even 10x to be honest. But if you're in the wrong rooms or you're trying to do it all by yourself, you're not going to hit the goal this year.
Yeah, exactly. We have this belief in Modern Agent that it's not about the content that you get. Sometimes people come in and it's content's exciting, right? So people get excited and like, well, what kind of content do you have? Or what all do you offer and whatever? And we'll answer the questions, but we always come back to this is not about what you get. This membership is about who you become. And it's for that very reason, right? That coach could have just been like, okay, here's your assignment, go to the 30-yard line, and then just moved on. And frankly, that guy could have made it to the 10-yard line and been like, nobody's watching, so I'm done. But he's now, in that movie, he is now the kind of person that knows I can do this death crawl 100 yards. Like, what else you got? Like, who's my opponent this week? No problem. That becomes the attitude. Your environment either expands you or it just like excuses you. You get all these excuses. And we always say, like, it's not hard to find excuses. I have excuses right now for why I shouldn't even be working right now, for why I have other things. My house is a mess, or my kids need me, or my dog, whatever. Like, there's so many other things that I could be doing. But like, my environment expands me, right? Like, even who I'm becoming in this job and as a podcast host and all of those things, like, that's someone that I want to get to know. And that's what we want members coming into Modern Agent too. Like, we're always like, man, like, it's just, I want you to know it's so much more than the content. Like, this is about like, you are going to blow your socks off. Like, you're going to blow yourself away. And we want you to get to know who that girl is because she's worth knowing.
I think the biggest mistake an agent could make if you're joining Modern Agent is only thinking about the content or only looking to the content. Like, that's like the sprinkles on the cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't put sprinkles on a cupcake if you first don't bake the cupcake, which
Right.
means you need flour, you need sugar, you need water, you need eggs, you need frosting. And let's do homemade frostings. We don't want the dye loaded junk from the store. Like, so we need cream cheese and we need Greek yogurt or whatever goes into your frosting recipe. And then you put the sprinkles on it. But if you don't
Yeah.
have the cupcake, you don't have your foundation that's going to make you the person who can go way further than you thought, then the sprinkles don't matter. The content doesn't matter. Content in and of itself isn't really going to grow your business or change anything for you. I hate to say this because, like, we love content, but this is my new quote. If you don't have a personal brand, the content just won't land. It won't. You could post all day long. In fact, I'm in a bunch of real estate Facebook groups, and I got intrigued as I was like, open my Facebook. It happened to be right on this post, and people were talking about different content places to get content from. And one girl was very proud of the content she was posting. I'm like, I'm going to look her up. She wasn't Modern Agent, so when I saw the name, so I looked her up and I looked at her feed, and it looked beautiful. It was all like editorial font, like, dark overlay, beautiful photos. She had a lot of like brand photos in the background that were her, but I couldn't tell you a single thing about who this agent was. There was no differentiating factor other than the photo of herself, which is, that's like step one. That's like the flower in the cupcake. Like, you obviously have to have photos of yourself. But for me to be like, oh, like, I like her style, or I feel like I could go get a cup of coffee with her, or I want to come back here. I want to come back to this party because this is like, this content makes me feel good or entertains me or makes me feel happy or inspired. It was just a sea of gray. Again, looked beautiful. Some creatively worded hooks related to real estate, but the missing piece, the missing ingredient was her. Who are you? Who are
Yeah.
you besides the agent? It was missing. And that's the piece we all miss. So, like, her content looked good, check. It maybe sounded good, check, but it didn't land because there was no personal brand. And that's what we want. That's what we want for you more than anything. Because if you don't have that, you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to spend a lot of time on social media, and you might feel really good about it even. Like, my content looks amazing. But then when it actually comes down to someone coming across a piece of it and deciding, hey, I'm going to reach out to her. I'm going to tell my friend about her. Or she goes to Pilates and the girl at Pilates says, do you know a good agent? We're going to be listing our house soon. Is she going to think of you? That is the question. And in that case, I don't think anyone would, right? So it's really focusing on what matters and not like, oh, so we got to get rid of the logistics, get rid of the little tiny questions that we feel like we're accomplishing something, but really we're not. Like, what time to post? What about the algorithm? How many times? Like, it honestly doesn't matter if you don't have the personal brand part first.
Yeah. I think if most of us listening are being honest, we have big dreams for our business, for our brand, for our lives. A lot of us aren't currently living in like our dream, like, this is exactly where I want it to be, right? Like, not that we're not grateful, but there's places that we want to go. And that's good to like have that growing desire, right? But a lot of us want, like, I worded it one time, like, a lot of agents want Chanel results, but they're looking at an Amazon content factory. And that's not like a dig on anything. That's just like, that's what we do, right? We think like, well, I really want to stand out. So we go to Instagram and we go to all of these accounts to say, this is what you should post this week. And it's like, well, hold on. Now, if everyone's posting that, why would they choose me? Like, it's a cycle where like, you're honestly trying to do the right thing. You're trying to do the very best thing and like, think of creative content and think of all of those things. But you're looking in the exact same places that every other agent is looking, and then you're disappointed that you don't have like these like luxury brand results, or that you don't, maybe not even a luxury brand, maybe that's not your thing, but like you want like high quality clients coming to you, but you're putting out content that's not high quality content, that doesn't reflect who you are, that doesn't make you memorable. Like, it's not going to happen. There's a disconnect there. We want to give you those Chanel results, right? Or whatever brand matters to you. Yeah, like your environment, it's all about like you either like stretch your standards and like reach the standards that you want for your business, or you're like shrinking your vision. Like, you're being basically told like, well, that's a nice dream, but like that's not what happens for most real estate agents, or like most of us are going to fall in this category, so you're fine. Like, then you just become like the voices that you hear all around you. But like, if you honestly are listening and you're like, no, but I really do want more, and maybe I don't know how it's going to be possible, but like I really do think that I could sell more real estate, or that I could have a better work-life balance for my family, and I could be more present as a mom and still sell a lot of real estate. Like, what does that look like? That's where our heart lies, right? Like, that's what we're so passionate about.
So I started making a list of when you do get in the right room or you are part of a community, like what are the benefits? Like what are the benefits to that? And sometimes honestly, getting into a community, you don't really get it until you're there, right? Because you don't know who's in it. You don't know what it's going to be like, and it can be hard. So it comes down to like, who do I want to surround myself with that has this level that I want to operate at, and they are in agreement with that, right? So I wrote down like, pick like joining a community that you love, it raises your standards. It's being in a room that raises your standards. So like these are some things to even like check off. If you're like, do I want to join this coaching program? Do I want to join this or that? Like, is it raising your standards? Because if it's not raising your standards, it's going to be a lot harder to get the result you want, right? So if it's someone promising like all these things or this library of stuff, but then you get in there and you're like, but now what? Then it's really hard to raise your standards, right? Because you only have the tangible thing. You don't have the like reason behind it. In fact, we just did Kayla and I just attended a live challenge. And oh gosh, the sports just won't leave my life apparently. So in the challenge, she used an example of golf, and she said, if you were to go golfing with Tiger Woods, would you rather have him tell you what club to use, or would you rather have him tell you what club to use and why to use it? So now you're connecting like, oh, I use this club when I need to blank. Obviously, we'd rather have him tell you why you're using each club, not just what club to use, right? And a lot of times we're focused on the what, like, what do I get? What features does this membership have? What features does this community offer? But again, like going back to the cupcake, the features are just the sprinkles. Like, we need to know, like, what are we getting from a foundational standpoint from the why? Like, what is this going to do and why? I'm going to post on stories every day. Why? I'm going to build a personal brand. Why? I'm going to share, my favorite local spots. Why? If you don't ever know the why and you're just doing it because the template says it or because the idea on Instagram said it, but you're not connected to the actual reason for it, you're not really raising any standards. You're just kind of following like a copy paste method in a way. And it's not giving you what you need to just be able to keep doing it over and over and over and understand the result it's getting. Like, it's like if we told you you should put your face on camera every day, you probably just think, yeah, that's probably a good idea, but I'm too uncomfortable. I can't. But like when you really dig and we pull apart, like what is the result I'm going to get when I do that? And you go layer by layer, deeper and deeper and deeper. Like layer one is people are going to be able to see your face and hear your voice. Okay, great. What does that matter? Because they're going to know exactly what it's like when you come to their house and sit at their kitchen table and talk to them about getting their house ready for the market. Okay, why does that matter? Because they're going to be more likely to trust you before you get to their house and sit at the table if they've already been seeing you for months and months on Instagram showing your face and voice. Okay, why does that matter? You'll probably get the listing without them interviewing 3 other agents. Why does that matter? They probably won't try to negotiate your commission percentage down because they're seeing you as more valuable than the commission percentage you're charging and putting them on MLS. Like you can just keep going deeper, 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 deeper. And that's what raising your standards does. It helps you start shifting how you're thinking in what is this actually going to do for me? It's not about the post. It's not about the story. It's not about getting your face on camera. It's always 7 levels deeper than that.
It's so true. Like, there's so many layers of payoffs to doing things the modern way. It's not just about your content. It's not just about saving time showing up. It's not just about like how you look at first glance to people, but it is about being memorable so that you're always top of mind. So that you can all like, if you could serve like all your friends and your like, it's a whole circle that like all works together. It's all encompassing, and like the payoffs of that are like limitless. I did a podcast for our members a couple weeks ago that was all about like being in the relentless pursuit of the payoff of being a modern agent, because it's easy to join something. It's easy to say, yes, I'll commit to this or I'll do whatever. But like, it's also really easy to get distracted. And it's also really easy to like let life happen to you or find those excuses why it's not the right time or whatever. And then you move on. But I was telling them like, we have to choose to like be in relentless pursuit of the payoff. So like, when we signed up for something, or even when we like say like, I am going to put my face on camera every week, I'm going to do it twice a week, even that alone, just doing it isn't really enough. But it's like looking for the opportunities that follow that, looking for when someone says like, oh my gosh, me too, like capitalize on that, like look for the payoff. And it's almost like you go into anything believing that it will work because you're willing to do the work. Like if you are willing to do the work and to look for that thing and look for that payoff and you know it's out there, you're going to experience payoff after payoff after payoff. And like, again, all of this ties back to like this wealthy mindset. Like that is what they do. If you really want to like upgrade your mindset to like really think like a wealthy agent, a modern agent, someone who like just goes against the grain and does things differently, this is how it's done.
Okay, I wanna circle back to what I was saying because I did kinda go off on a tangent, and I have a fever. So, maybe I
But
grew
no
up in a
excuse. You don't
fiction.
have
Oh, yeah,
excuses.
no excuse, I'm still recording. Okay, so when I said raise your standards, this is exactly what we're talking about. So, you know why you're doing what you're doing. You're not just doing it because the post randomly told you to that you saved in your feed or screenshotted, like, you know the payoff. But then what happens is because you're in this room where your standards are raised and you're showing up in this way super intentionally, these things start to feel very normal because you're surrounded by agents who do show up on stories every day, who do invest in their business, who are always elevating what they're doing, who talk about marketing. Going on video with your face feels normal. Posting consistently in a way that grows your brand, it feels normal. It becomes the standard. So as I talked about raising your standard, that's what I mean. Like you get into the room with the right people, that happens as a byproduct because that's what everyone's doing there. And it starts to feel normal and not like your broker saying, "Why are you spending time on that when you should be cold calling this list or text messaging your sphere to see who they know or are they ready to sell this spring?" Like
Right.
you're raising your standards and shifting how you think about it. It won't feel like this massive thing to do. It will feel like that's just what I do. That's how I
Absolutely.
show up.
Yeah. You know, people talk about risk and reward and how like they kind of go hand in hand and they go back and forth and all of these things. But I think it's important that we remember that it really is risk then reward. There's a risk in putting yourself out there on Instagram, in your content on camera. There's a risk in going against the grain in your brokerage and like how are you going to be perceived? There's a risk in, yes, in joining a membership or in hiring a coach or whatever that looks like for you. There's a risk in that. But when you take that risk and again, relentlessly pursue the payoff on that, that's when the reward comes. And there's going to be highs and lows in the midst of that too. But like so many of us want the reward. We want all that business. We want all those referrals, but we're not willing to put ourselves out there. You know, I laughed so much in that challenge that we did because it was over some things that I just knew nothing about. And sometimes I find myself learning from people who I feel a little more kind of not, I don't want to say equal, like I'm so high and mighty, but like I do know a lot about what they're talking about. And then I just take little nuggets. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that was good. This was the first time that I was like somewhere where I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't understand. But honestly, I think I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Like, I want to be the person who's like learning from absolutely everybody and who like in that position when I'm the person in a room who like has something to learn from everybody, then that's no pressure on me. That's really no risk for me. Like the risk might be that I say I don't know the answer, but guess what? In 5 minutes, I'm going to find out. Like I'm going to figure it out because I'm relentless, you know? That's what I want our agents and our listeners to understand is like whatever feels like a risk to you isn't a risk. It's just like this thing you have to go through before you experience the reward. The ultimate risk is like listening to all of these podcast episodes and not doing anything. The risk is like understanding more and more and like learning little nuggets and like developing your brand and fine tuning your colors and all of these things and then not like doing anything about it. That's where the risk comes in because the risk then is that you don't grow. You don't get more business, you become forgettable and like the referrals stop. That's the real risk. I would much rather risk learning something and maybe raising my hand and asking a question that everybody else knows the answer to. We talk about personal branding all the time, but maybe that sounds complicated. But what if I told you you could have a personal brand by Friday?
We're giving you a simple week-long plan with clear action steps to follow Monday through Friday, so by the end of the week, you have everything you need to start standing out in your market.
Click the link in the show notes to grab your personal brand by Friday guide so you can get started today.
A lot of times, I think it comes down to uncertainty. And I just listened to a really good podcast about this, and it was all about overthinking. And I wrote this down because this is so important as a business owner to keep this in the back of your head. And I think it will just help you make better decisions. And in fact, I just used it yesterday. So it was like the 3 reasons why you might be overthinking a decision. So if you're like, should I join this? Should I invest in that? Should I move to Italy? I mean, I don't know, it could be anything, right? Should I move in general? Should we buy the lake house? Should we do an investment property? Should we sign up for this mastermind? Whatever. One of the reasons you overthink is because you're uncertain. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. Uncertainty, though, is often where the magic of your life happens. It involves searching for answers where there literally isn't one. So, like, let's just put it in the context of like joining Modern Agent Social Club, building a personal brand. You might be uncertain of what the outcome will be for you because
Yeah.
ultimately it comes down to, are you going to do the work or not? That you're responsible for the results, right? But uncertainty is really just another word for saying you're living outside of your comfort zone. And I don't know about you, but I want to live outside my comfort zone when it comes to business, because if you're not growing, you're going backwards, basically. But it's ultimately a form of control over your future and emotions. And certainty for the outcome is a form of control because you want to know what's going to happen. You want to control that like ultimate decision, right? But the only way for you to have full control and full certainty over an outcome is if you do, and this is from the podcast, the F word, effing nothing. That is the only way. So I'm going to get into this on an upcoming episode, but I just made a massive investment. And I went back to these notes I took from this podcast, and I was like, the only way to have full control and full certainty over an outcome is if you do effing nothing. And the only certainty there is that you're going to do nothing and go nowhere. That I was like, oh my gosh, yes, sign me up for this thing, because I am not willing to do nothing and go nowhere. So let's welcome the uncertainty. And that, again, is often where the magic happens. This was from the podcast Working Hard by Grace C. Beverly, I think is her name. Really good podcast.
Yeah, I think that you totally nailed it there. It's all about like taking that risk and really like betting on yourself. You know, like I think wealthy mindseted agents, the ones that you see that are actually succeeding, not just the ones who are posting like listing, closing, home tours, whatever, but the ones who are like spending time with my family and having a girls' night and going to book club or whatever all of those things are, like whatever's ideal to you. They are thinking about risk. They're thinking about like furthering their learning in a completely different way. They're thinking way beyond continued education. They're thinking way beyond just getting like the certification in something. Not that those things don't matter. Obviously they matter. But like if you can develop yourself, not just as a real estate agent who is specialized in these types of loans, but if you can also grow as an agent who learns what risk and reward really is like and sees the payoff, like think about how much better of advice you'll be able to give your client who is going through a divorce or who just lost their spouse or whatever the circumstance, lost their job, any of those things, we're going to you and they're saying, look, I still really think this is the right house for me. I'm not sure. I don't know what to do. Think about what position you will be in to look them in the eye and be like, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you what I've learned. And it's this. Like, whether or not they choose to go through with that is irregardless, right? Because like the point is they're now looking at you like she actually has my best interest at heart. She knows her stuff. She's lived through some things and like she's got some life experience. She's got some wisdom under her belt. And that's like, I trust her way beyond like, I don't know how many square feet are in a acre or whatever. Like you can provide a service to your clients that is so much deeper and so much life-changing and impactful. And I'm sorry, but like we all know, if you have a conversation like that with a client, they're never using anybody else. They're only ever going to tell people to use you. Like you won't become that agent who had really beautiful graphics and who had a beautiful, fun branding photo shoot that they can't even remember what her name is. Like they might remember what color your hair was and that was it, right? That's not what we want. So like this whole idea of doing things in community with people and doing things in like partnership with someone who is like actually has your best interest, like looking for like a coach. And I know there's like, oh my gosh, I've heard of a million different types of coaches out there for agents. And I think some of them probably have a lot of value that they can offer. I do think some of them completely take advantage of agents, and that really ticks me off. But all that being said, you need to find someone who's in your corner who not only gives you good advice, but who like helps you become that person. It doesn't just do the work for you or doesn't just say, I don't know, do this, but like literally like checks in with you, holds you accountable, like all of those things. Like that's what builds momentum and that's what gets you going to that next level that you want to go to.
Another thing I wrote down is that in a community, you will learn faster from shared experiences.
Oh,
So, not
100%.
just from the coach or the guide, but like the people in it with you. So, if you think about if you're trying to do something on your own, you have one person to learn from, really, and it's your own experience or your own mistake or your own win. But if you are in a community of agents doing it with you, you're learning from dozens of experiments of what they learn from posting. You're going to skip ahead a lot because you're going to
Mm-hmm.
learn things from them that will save you the trouble of maybe developing that bad habit that they had with posting that made it take a lot longer. Like you're going to get a ton of little wins. Like in 1 week, you might learn one thing from yourself if you're just on your own lane. But if you're in a community, you might learn 10 things that week that speed up what you're doing or make it easier, or just one golden nugget a week that makes what you're trying to do feel a lot less daunting or a lot more doable, or like, oh my gosh, I've been making it so much harder on myself. I think of all these testimonials that we had it was from camp, and there was all these agents in community doing camp together. And there were so many saying things like, I finally got clarity, or I've taken so many courses and for the first time I understand what I want my personal brand to be, or like whatever these comments were. But it was because it came through community. It's not just because they listened to us, it's because they had 700 other agents in there sharing wins and aha moments. And like someone said, I was overcomplicating everything. Can't made it feel doable. Or I didn't need another strategy. I needed to get clarity and I got it. This helped me realize I've been playing small.
Oh my gosh.
Like those types of things. These are agents who went through camp and then joined Modern Agent. Like this is what you get when you you insert yourself into a community. And like I'm all about one-on-one coaching too. I think it's very powerful, but it's still when you're in a group, it's just not the same as being in a group. Like someone else asks a question that you didn't even know you had, and now you just skip
Right.
2 steps ahead. It makes me think of like when you're playing Mario Kart and you get the little like lightning bolt and you get to go
Yeah.
really fast for like 10 seconds
Yeah.
and you get way further down the track. That's what it's like to be in community. Like you get little lightning bolts and you get way further down the track and towards your goals of where you want to be.
When we think about the word like proximity, I love that word. And that's like so much of this. You think about people who have that wealthy mindset, who are, like the people that we've described this whole series, whether it's like someone who's just like super at peace or super magnetic and people are drawn to them and all of those things. They usually like they know a guy, right? Like they have contacts with people. They have and it's not just because they've like hired all these people to like do things for them, but they've like gone alongside people and done things together and experienced growth together. that's why they have the proximity with the people and they have the resources that they do and all of that. All of that happens too in like a group coaching thing or anything, because it's if you have a question and you legit can't find the answer, or you just want to have like personalized advice to you, you can not only get it from like a coach, but you can get it from the entire community, like get feedback on something. In the membership lately, we've been doing lots of like face to cam challenges, like trying to get agents more comfortable talking on camera and their stories and like building connections that way. We've been doing like little check-ins in the group, like how'd this one go, and like, okay, here's the one for today and what are we gonna do, and like just the feedback people have been able to give each other, and just like the not even necessarily constructive criticism, but just like, oh, I really liked when you said that, like just like some solid feedback, some encouragement. Agents have been finally putting themselves on camera just because they know that they will have someone being like, did you do it today, and did you put it in here, did you put it in the chat, or like you did it last week, are you going to do it this week? Again, you're rising to that level of the entire community. You're not just setting your own standards and like quietly lowering them and no one's even noticing, but you are like, there's a new baseline and there's a new like ground zero. And like, that's what the expectation is. When you're in a group like that, like it holds you so accountable. It's, you know, you think about like joining a gym and like taking classes and stuff. I mean, you're going to have some hard days, but no one wants to be the girl that like can't finish the thing, right? And you might make some modifications, but like the bottom line is like you have other people who are like, why weren't you there? Or you have other people that are like, keep going, I'm right behind you. Like, let's go. Like, you almost got this, 10 more seconds, whatever it is. You're going to get a lot more done in that time frame than what you would have if you were like, I'm just going to lift some weights at home. So that's what we want for you, because here's the bottom line of all of this, right? All of this stuff, you could listen to it and think like, that's nice. And maybe you think like, oh, this is just, you know, a promo episode or whatever. But let me just reassure you, this is not like, this is like life stuff. If you want to excel in any area of your life, this is the kind of mindset that you need to have. You know, Chelsea, you used the example last week or 2 weeks ago of like marriage and like, what kind of marriage do you want? The truth is, any one of us at any point could just go out and find someone who's willing to marry us and have a couple kids and all right, like whatever, and then get divorced 15 years later, right? Anyone could go through that. Or like, even if you don't get divorced, like just be with someone and, you know, you get along fine and he does the yard work and you do that, whatever. But like, do you want more than that? Like for me, like my standards were always higher than that. And like I knew like I wanted a deep, healthy, committed relationships that my kids can look at and be like, that's what I want. And just the other night, they were like, are you guys going on a date again this week? Because you guys did last week. And that was so like, they were like, get so excited for us when we go on a date night, you know, to dinner 5 minutes down the road. But that's what I want them to see. So it was like so much more than that. So all of it we're talking about, this is like beyond your business. Your business is just like the cherry on top of all of this. Like we want you to get insane business results. We want you to make a ton of money and we want you to sell a ton of houses and like love your work, but we want you to love your life too.
I would almost say love your life first
Oh, yeah.
and then your work. Like, while work is such a priority to me, it is always gonna be second to my family or just the choices that I make. Like, there are certain things that I know I've talked about in the podcast I don't wanna do because I don't wanna travel and leave my family, or I don't wanna whatever. I'm not willing to make those certain sacrifices. So you can determine what that is for you. But, like, on a really day-to-day level is where a lot of this stuff comes into play. Like, your actual day to day, not necessarily even like the number in your bank account, but like what does your day look like? Like that's where that wealth really lives. It's a whole like well-rounded scenario. It's not like this is
100%.
how much money you make so you're wealthy, or this is how many houses you own so you're wealthy. It's how does my day to day feel? How does my nervous system feel? How does my, like I would guarantee if you like I have an aura ring and today I woke up and it said like major signs of whatever, which just freaks you out. But I'm sick. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. But like if you had an aura ring and you did certain activities in your real estate business, like meeting cold leads, or I guarantee it would show you with your heart rate, like, this isn't for me. Like, it's literally a physical biometric, like, definition of this isn't for me. And first, there are people out there who I guarantee it like lights a fire under them to try to convert a cold lead. Like that
Oh,
is
yeah.
their like they exist. They are not me. They are probably not you if you're listening. But there are people like that. Like they want the hard sale. They want to use their sales skills in quotation marks, which probably aren't that great, really, but they think they are. I always picture like a car salesman when I start to say that. And my grandpa was a car salesman, so I don't mean that in offense. He was not like this, but the typical image we have of them, right? But another thing I want to bring up with all of this, because this is like one of the biggest things that changes how you show up, not just online, but in front of clients in real life and makes this all kind of come together is confidence. And when you're in community with people, you kind of get to borrow confidence at first. Like, so you think about, okay, I wish I could just be the agent who shows up on stories every day. And like, I wish I could be the one that, just has the right thing to say and it feels so easy, or look, she makes it look so easy, or whatever it is. Like when you are in community with people that are doing the same things, you get to borrow that little teeny bit of belief because you see someone say things like, I posted my first reel with my on-brand B-roll, or I finally talked on camera in my stories every day this week, or whatever. And suddenly your brain is like, wait, I can do that. Like if she can do this, I
Right.
can do this. And now it is possible. You're not like dependent on you coming up with enough motivation that day to do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, I also think like it's funny because like motivation is such like a buzz. It's always been like the buzzword of like you just need more motivation. I don't really think it's motivation. I think what we lack is direction or going deeper than just that thing. Like when you said the workout example, I remember being in this workout class when I was getting married and I threw up at the end. And I was like, wow, I don't push myself enough at home.
Yeah.
Like it's more like you have to have the belief that this is possible for me, and that brings in the motivation. Whereas like you're just relying on like you can do it, motivation. Like no, you physically have to do it. Like the movie scene with the boy going across
Yes.
the man, the guy going across the football field. He had to physically do it, not just like pump himself up. So like we want to build real confidence, not just like little fluffy motivation. I always will say, like, when we're recording something, like, this isn't just fluffy motivation. Like, we're talking like big picture, who you're becoming mentality, not like, you got this, Kayla.
Exactly. Well, all of that comes back down to the quote I shared at the very beginning, where if you let your learning lead to knowledge, you become a fool. But if you let your learning lead to action, you become wealthy. So this is all about like, what action are you going to take now? Because whatever action you take at this point, like the results of that are going to show up. And they're going to show up in a week. They're going to show up in a month. They're going to show up in 3 months. Like whatever you decide from here on out, right? So I think it'd be really interesting, even as we're talking about all of this, because, like, of course, like, we just love this podcast. We love being able to record for everyone. We love being able to be in community this way and, like, answer questions, all of those things. But also, obviously, we have a membership and, like, we have seen the lives of agents change because they've adapted these beliefs. But I think it's really important to also, like, lay out, like, I don't want to be like, and just join the membership. But I want to be like, hey, this is not a good fit for you if we've learned that there are some agents who experience wild success and there are some that don't. And there are a few key differences in who those agents are, right? So what would you say would be like one of the first things you would say? Like if someone's like, I don't know, like, is it a good fit for me? Like, what would be one thing you would tell them?
One thing would be it's not for you if you're just going to think, I'm going to try this out and just see. Like, we want agents coming in where they're like, I 100% want to be here. I'm going to give it my all. I'm willing to do the work. I'm not coming to just check it out and see. Because if you're coming to check it out and see, you're not in the right place yet. You will not get the results that you could get if your mind was in the right place. So I would say hold off, keep listening to the podcast, keep following us on Instagram, and circle back when you feel like I'm ready to give this a real shot.
Yeah. If you're not ready to relentlessly pursue the payoff and like have tunnel vision when it comes to all of this, you're definitely not ready. If you are honestly just looking for really good content, we have that. But I think that you won't get the results that you're hoping for only because you won't have put in the work with your personal brand. So we give you like all the tools you need to build a personal brand. We do like group coaching and all of those things. Like everything that you need is there. But sometimes all we want to do is hide behind a graphic or just put a picture up and schedule everything out and post 25 times a week or whatever and be like, well, it didn't work. When really the real work and the real results come from identifying your personal brand and like going through our workbooks and practicing a few things and talking to the camera, all the things that we tell you to do. That's when you start to experience the payoff.
Another one I would say is if you're not willing to put your blinders on for a period of time, let's call it 90 days, at least 90 days, and stop following advice from several different people and just learn from us and actually implement what we're giving you. If you're not willing to do that, I would say it's not the right fit for you. It's not the right time. Maybe it will be down the road, but you'll do such a disservice to yourself if you like follow what we say, but then you kind of like listen to someone else and you come back over here. You'll just be extremely scattered. So I'm not saying that from the sense of like, oh, don't invest in multiple things. I think there's a million ways you can invest in multiple things in your business. I do it. Like, it's not that you can't do that, but when you want to go all in on something, you need to shut off the noise from other people. Like right now, I invested in like an paid ads mastermind. I'm not going to go find other paid ads educators and follow their advice while I'm going all in on this mastermind. Like, I'm going to learn from the person I trust and I'm going to shut it all off. So all the other noise off. So like that's what we want. We're not looking for like quantity of agents. We want quality of agents. Like the agents that are going to come, they're going to focus, they're going to put their blinders on, they're going to put their head down, do the work, not make excuses, show up, be part of the community and actually get results, right? Like I want agents who are going to come get results, not who are going to treat it like a little extra shiny object, fluffy, whatever. So put your blinders on and be willing to actually learn.
Yeah. And speaking of community too, I want agents who are ready to come and experience our community and like all the benefits that come with that, like everything we just laid out in this episode. But I also want them to be equally concerned with giving to the community, with giving feedback, with giving compliments, with giving advice, with giving accountability. Like if we just come in thinking like, well, we'll see what I get out of this, it's probably not going to be very much. But if you come in being like, almost like, I call it like star student energy. But if you're like, I'm going to be the teacher's pet, I'm going to do everything that I'm told to do, I'm going to do it with such excellence, I'm going to be the first to raise my hand. Like if you kind of have that mentality, you're not only going to get so much out of the whole community and out of the whole membership and the whole process of identifying your personal brand, but you are also going to make so many connections and you're going to make so many friendships and have so much accountability that like you won't be able to slip back into old ways because you'll have too many people around you being like, come on, let's go, let's keep going, right? So like experience the community, yes, but like give to it, make it what you want it to be. I think that you would be a really good fit.
It kind of goes back to marriage. Like you don't enter a marriage thinking like, so what are you going to do for me? Like it's not going to work.
Right.
So if you treat a community that way, it's not going to work either. I think what this all also comes down to is like the real transformation in modern agent. It comes down to identity. It's like that is the biggest payoff that you're getting. And maybe you love who you are right now and you're like, well, I don't want to change my identity. That's not what it's really about. It's like, okay, you're ultimately here because you want better marketing and better clients and more referrals, a stronger brand, all those things. But what actually is going to happen is you're going to transform the way you think about things. And it's going to make all of that, like what we've talked about this whole episode, feel a lot lighter and easier and more like it aligns with you than if you come in like when you come in with the resistance or like the side eye or the, I don't know if this is going to work for me. I'll just tell you right now, it won't because you're fighting against it versus like leaning into it and letting yourself become the agent you want to operate as and become the person that you want people to think of. Like you're fighting it. So like it won't work for you if you have that, little bit of negative side eye with everything about it. Like you have to be willing to take the time to learn and implement and tweak and ask questions and get involved and then keep going, right? Like the football field example analogy scene. Yeah.
Exactly. Overall, I love this series. I love this mindset upgrade. I love the many conversations I've had with agents about it, whether they've just brought up something to me and I'm like, actually, we just addressed that in this episode or whatever. But overall, I really hope that you'll at least take some kind of nugget away from this whole series and that you'll even go back and listen when you're feeling like you're falling back into the trap that you used to be in. Obviously, we'd love to have you in membership. We have such big fun things coming and we would just love for you to be a part of that if you are a good fit. But bottom line is, let's not think like broke agents. Let's think like the wealthy agents and let's make decisions like the kind of agent that we want to become. And I think that we're going to end up getting there a lot faster than what we ever dreamed was possible.
I love it. Go be wealthy agents, and we will see you next Tuesday. I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.